You could simply have your student be a bass player and you can do a duet. They can go, right? While you play the actual riff. And this way they're really getting that experience of playing with someone, doing a part that they could really hold down even from day one. Hey everybody, Gary here with the Dario Education Collective, and in this video we're going to go over how to capitalize on student interest and become a more student-centered guitar or bass instructor. So this topic is really near and dear to my heart because when I was 6 years old and my mom got me my first guitar lesson, it was because I loved Elvis Presley and I would watch him and I wanted a guitar. I would imitate him, I would sing Heartbreak Hotel and do all this stuff. I just didn't know what to do on guitar. So she looked in the paper, she found a recent Berklee graduate who came to my house, and the first thing he started teaching me about was the staff and how to read music and how to hold the guitar properly and all this stuff. And it scared me, it wasn't interesting, and I never wanted to touch the guitar again until I was about 11 or 12 years old, and then I picked it up again and kind of taught myself for a while. So maybe I would have played those 5 years in between if he had inquired about what kinds of things might engage me and what the whole reason was for why I wanted to learn guitar in the first place. So throughout my years as a public school music teacher and a one-on-one instructor, I always try to inquire as to what students are really engaged by and use that as the basis for teaching and learning. And this is not to devalue certain skills such as learning how to read music or learning certain techniques that are going to be important to a player's development, but it's just to say that it could be kind of backwards to start with these specialized skills and specialized techniques instead of starting in a way that's really going to engage students and help them get into the habit of playing and enjoying playing before going into those things. The vast majority of people that begin learning guitar quit. And in my opinion, this is a big part of the reason, because when they go to learn, the learning materials that are given to them, where people say start here, is not engaging enough for them, and they feel like they're not allowed to learn the things that they want to learn until they learn all this other stuff first. So let's kind of flip that around. So teachers that might disagree with this premise will have a few different points to make. One of them is they have a method that's tried and true. They've been using the same materials for a long time and they've seen it work. It might not work for all students, but they've seen it work for other students. So that might be true, and there might be a population of students that will do whatever you tell them, and by doing that, they will make a lot of progress. But even for those students, you might make the experience so much more enjoyable and so much more engaging by bringing in some of this more student-centered repertoire. Another argument that might be made is that the music that students are listening to either doesn't have much guitar, or the guitar that it does have is not level appropriate. So this is where we have to be creative as instructors, and we can modify that material. We could approximate. We could take parts that aren't necessarily easy to play and make them a little more simplified. We could change the key, we could simplify the chord progressions, we could use a capo, we could take parts that are not written for guitar, like synth parts, and transcribe them for guitar. So there's a lot we could do to find ways for students to access these songs that they're listening to and really feel like they're learning to play them. In my experience, if I ask a student to tell me 3 songs that they've been listening to that they like, that they wish they could play, at least one of those 3 we can do this with. The other thing is we can find ways to teach the fundamentals, to teach the nuts and bolts in the repertoire that they're listening to. Any song, no matter what it is, contains all the elements of music, and we could explore what's going on. We could explore the key, the chords, we can find different ways to play it. We can talk about how to improvise over that song. So we can use all of these songs as a window into the teaching concepts that we want to cover. So I'm going to use 2 song examples. I've searched the YouTube audio library. There's some great stuff in there, and I found 2 songs. One is a guitar song, but it's got a kind of difficult arpeggiation, and it's not in a key that's good for beginners. And the other is kind of a hip-hop R&B groove that has no guitar, but has a very memorable synth part. So we're going to go over both of these and talk about how we might simplify them and make them accessible for students that are just starting out, where that is the time that we want to really hook them and engage them. So first, let's take a look at the song Orange Foot by Dan Henning. So let's say this is one of the songs a student of yours wants to learn and they just started playing. Pretty much does that over and over, right? So you got this kind of funky arpeggiation. So let's see what's going on. We've got all right, so it's a 3-chord song, so that's good, but it's 3 kind of difficult chords with a tough arpeggiation. We've got C sharp minor, E major, and then F sharp minor. So there's a couple things we can do. We can think about transposing, so then we just got to figure out what is this chord progression, and it's 6, 1, 2 in the key of E or C sharp minor. I like to think of everything back to the relative major key. So then we could transpose it to a different key that's easier. So maybe A minor, right? So if we did 6, 1, 2 in A minor, we would have A minor, C, D minor. So that doesn't really capture the feel of the song. We could try another one. We could try E minor, G, A minor. Still doesn't really do it. So instead, the ultimate beginner rhythm guitar tool, the capo. We just use one of those and we can still play the same chords, but instead of C sharp minor, that's going to become A minor with a capo on the 4th fret. So now we've got, right? And then C, and then D minor. So now you're teaching them 3 basic open chords, A minor, C, D minor. And we could even simplify it even further by just taking away the lower 2 strings to make the C to A minor just a matter of pulling off the 3rd finger and just sticking with the top 4 strings of the guitar for the whole progression. So then we have A minor, C, and then D minor like that. We can get rid of the arpeggio altogether. Do-boo-da, do-boo-da, do-boo-da. And let's see what that would be like playing along, if it would feel like we're really playing the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. To simplify it even further, we can just do this partial C, which is also an A minor 7 shape, and we can use that same shape for the A minor, because an A minor and a C, a 6 chord and a 1 chord, are basically the same chord. And then for the D minor, we could just move that shape down but skip over the B string, and then we just have cool, right? And then they could just go. Let's see how that sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could simply have your student be a bass player and you can do a duet. They can go. Right? While you play the actual riff. And this way they're really getting that experience of playing with someone, doing a part that they could really hold down even from day one. You know, you can teach a student this on the first day and they'll probably be able to do it. You might have to go over that rhythm a little bit, but you get the idea. So there's all sorts of ways to approximate any song to make it accessible on some level. So now let's take a song that has no guitar and see what we could do with that. So this next song is called The Morning After by Bad Snacks, also free to use in the YouTube audio library. But Bad Snacks is actually touring with Anomaly and Rob Arroyo, who also play with artists like Tom Misch. So she's a really great producer, and I have a feeling we're gonna be hearing a lot more from her soon. So this song, The Morning After, it's got a really cool synth line that really defines the song. So let's hear it. So as a guitar teacher, if I want to transcribe something like this on the spot, so first I'm going to try to figure out, well, what key are we in? So F sharp minor, basically. I might want to have with me a laptop that has some transposition, slow down software. I use Amazing Slowdowner, so I can just pull something up and put it in Amazing Slowdowner. I could loop little parts, I could slow it down, I could transpose it. YouTube now has the playback speed control, so you can actually transcribe very easily from YouTube. There's also a plugin called Transpose. It's an extension for Google Chrome or Safari or Firefox. And anytime you're listening to a YouTube video, you can just click on the extension, slow down, and transpose. So having these tools with you during a lesson can be really great. So let's see what we had here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's totally cool to learn and play something that's recorded on synth, on guitar. It also helps students realize that music is music, right? No matter what. So although this riff is mostly pentatonic, F sharp minor pentatonic, there's that note right there, the second or the ninth. So you can use this as an opportunity to teach your students the difference between the pentatonic scale and just the regular minor scale or Dorian. And then you can learn it in two places, over here, over here. And this way you're using the song as a doorway for scale practice, for improvisation, and you're just kind of leveraging that student interest right there. So these are just a couple examples that I found on YouTube, but the whole point is that find out what your students are listening to, find out why they decided to get a guitar, or their parents decided that it would be a good idea for them to learn guitar. What are they interested in? What are their goals? What are the songs that inspire them that they can't wait to get home from school and listen to on their headphones? And see if you could use those as the basis for your lessons. And this is so important in the beginning because the students just have a small spark of interest, and it's up to you to either ignite that spark, turn it into a fire, or very easily put it out. So in the beginning, focus on engagement more than anything else. Once students really develop the habit of playing guitar, the discipline, and it's something more than just a passing interest, then they will be much more willing to hear what you think is really important. So I hope this lesson was helpful. I hope it gave you some ideas for how you might want to leverage student interest, and even if you think the songs are not appropriate, are not guitar songs, how you can still find a way to use these songs. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Happy teaching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.